Hey there everybody, and happy belated free shipping day. I hope you all have your Christmas slash holiday shopping done or near done. I know I do myself. But either way, December is just a stressful month. You got the present shopping, you've got, travel plans to make, whether for yourself or for friends or family coming to visit you. You got meals to prepare for. Maybe you're already preparing your taxes for next year. And on top of all that, you just have, normal life. You got work or school or, whatever it is you're doing. You got that all together this month. So it's a lot to take in. And, we all intuitively know this, that mental and emotional stress can manifest itself physically into chronic pain symptoms. Whether it's lower back pain, hip pain, knee pain, sciatica, what have you. And, I've already talked about kind of how the physical, the mental, the emotional sides, aspects of our lives all kind of feed off one another when it comes to, chronic pain and posture. I've talked about that in the past. And today I wanted to talk about how, poor posture can kind of start a vicious cycle, not just in a physical aspect, but also in a mental, emotional aspect as well. And what kind of made me think about doing this post was earlier on in the month, I started this conversation with a gentleman by the name of Alan, and he is a student in Ireland who sustained a back injury. I believe it was 7 years ago. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but since then he's gradually grown some upper back and shoulder pain on his left side. And we've been writing some emails back and forth, like I said, since the beginning of the month. And there's one in particular that really jumped out to me, and I thought, wow, it almost sounds like I could have written this, years ago. And I thought, I know there's a lot of other people out there who feel the same way or similar to, and I think there's a lot of good takeaways from this. So I asked his permission if I could share that email with, the other posture guys and gals watching, and kind of go over it with a fine-tooth comb, and let not only him but the rest of you know what I think about it, because when I read it to you, you'll see there's a little bit more involved than just physical. Oh, your posture's off or this is wrong. Do these exercises and you're good to go. There's some mental and emotional aspects included as well. All right, so what I like to do, if you can just stick with me for a minute, is read. I'm not going to read you all of our emails because that'd be extremely boring, but one in particular, kind of an excerpt of it, that I think is really important for you to hear, and then I'm going to kind of go through with you point by point, what I think about it and what would be best for him to do, as well as yourself if you're in a similar position, or maybe you know someone who is. All right, so here's what he wrote. Again, he is in Ireland. He is a student, sustained a back injury 7 years ago, suffering from upper back and shoulder pain. All right, there's a little background information on him. And he says in this email, "It's gotten to the point where sometimes I wonder if I'm doing all this to myself. When I get anxious about a date or stressed with college, or I have a presentation or something that would give a normal amount of anxiety, I get really bad pain / discomfort in my left upper back / shoulder that even comes around to my left pec or pectoral muscle chest. It is actually causing me to avoid these situations altogether, and I've lost so much confidence in myself and in living a happy life. I know a lot of this is in my head, and I'm creating this fear of things myself. I want to be able to run, jump, climb mountains, and enjoy life again, but sometimes I think that it's never going to happen, and I'm going to be miserable and lonely for the rest of my days. I want to believe in a better life and in a happy life, but man is it hard when doctors, etc. say they can't find anything physically wrong. It's frustrating to say the least, and they say I have CFS, or chronic fatigue syndrome, for those of you that don't know the abbreviation, and fibromyalgia. I think it's all posture related, as it all started when I damaged my back first day. I developed allergies after hurting my back, which I think is a result of the physical stress on my system from pain and lack of sleep. Sorry for the long-winded reply, but I just want to be happy and confident again." So again, maybe some of you can relate to what Alan's going through. I know I can. Like I said, 8, maybe 9 years ago, I would have thought maybe I would have written this myself. And so I replied to this, to Alan, which I know he's already read through, but I told him, I said, first of all, man, I truly believe that the reason the doctors can't find anything wrong with you is because you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just that your posture's been compromised. Your body's doing the best it can with what it's got, but there's probably parts of his body that are compensating, doing movements, taking over the responsibility of certain movements that part of his body aren't capable of, are dysfunctional right now. Other parts of the body are compensating, doing the best they can, but they weren't originally designed for it. So, now they're starting to have uneven wear and tear in his body, and that's what's creating the symptoms he's feeling. Another reason too is, the doctors say he has chronic fatigue syndrome and/or fibromyalgia. Those are two things that doctors regularly will label people with when they just don't know what is truly going on with someone. All right, I've seen this more times than I care to admit, but well over 100, probably hundreds of the times, doctors don't know what's going on. Oh, you have chronic fatigue syndrome and/or fibromyalgia. There you go. Have a great day. And so he goes on to talk about, that when he gets anxious about a date or doing a presentation or something, that what used to be kind of normal anxiety now starts to exacerbate his symptoms. His upper back, his shoulder, and even in his pectoral muscles here start to get painful and tight. And that just goes to show you, well, imagine again, if my shoulder was here, right, and it's already painful, but maybe only one or two, not too bad, but now I start getting anxious, my muscles tighten up, and this pulls in even more. Well, what looks more painful to you? This? Or, oh, I'm stressed out, I'm tight, I'm anxious, nervous. Yeah, this looks tighter. Then he goes on to say that it's affected his confidence. Well, yeah, because again, think of, okay, it's already here, right? It's a little bit off. Now I get anxious or tight, and I'm here, and I don't like the way this looks on me. So to hide it, I maybe even curl this one in, try to even them out, and I kind of go into my own shell. I kind of implode, right? Well, this obviously doesn't look confident, right? Ideally, you'd want that head upright and kind of chest out to kind of represent confidence, to show people, hey, like I'm confident with myself and my capabilities, both physically, mentally, emotionally, all that. Obviously, this tells a different story. So you can see that his physical alignment, his posture, has affected him mentally and emotionally as well. And then he starts to say that I'm trying to remember where it is, but it's actually causing me to avoid these situations altogether because he's lost so much of his confidence. And some of the things he mentioned is giving a presentation and doing things like that. But a perfect example of how this will lead, kind of spiraling down and down and down, is that I usually find when I work with older clients, if I ask them to lay down on the ground, they say, "Oh, I can't get down on the ground myself." And I ask them, well, why? Or when's the last time you tried to? And they'll say, oh my gosh, months or probably more accurately for them, years. And usually what I find is the reason they can't get down on the ground anymore is because they stopped doing it. Maybe they had a bad experience for a day or a couple of days, and they said, heck, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to avoid it. But eventually what you stop doing and it becomes difficult to do then becomes not possible for you to do. So when people say, it's hard for me to go upstairs, I go, well, instead of avoiding the stairs, why don't you ask yourself, well, why is it hard for you to go upstairs? What part of it? Is it lifting your leg up? Is it planting your leg? Is it pushing off the leg? Okay, let's look at that, and now let's try to correct that. Let's not just try to avoid it, because I guarantee you if you avoid going upstairs, you're not going to be able to go upstairs. Or if you can't get down on the ground, if you just never do it, then, it's that old saying, use it or lose it. And if you don't try to get down on the ground, then you're not going to be able to. I also see this a lot with people who used to be very athletic. Maybe they did football and basketball and all these contact sports and everything. And then over the years, you start to see them spiral down, 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 down from less contact sports, less impactful sports to, and the last thing everybody always says is, oh, but I still swim. And I said, well, yeah, of course you do, because swimming, you take out the gravitational vertical load on yourself, and now you can kind of move freely in water. Swimming, don't get me wrong, great cardiovascular workout, could be very good for you, but as far as from a posture standpoint, doesn't really do anything for you, honestly. And it kind of cheats people into thinking that, well, I'm still staying active. Swim, keep swimming if you're swimming, but go for a walk and do something that, try to get up and down off the ground, go for a walk, do these things with gravity bearing weight down on you, all right? And so you can see, or you can hear in Alan's writing that that he goes on to say that he wants to run, jump, climb mountains, and enjoy life, but sometimes he feels that it's not possible, and I think that's because past experiences have taught him so. So there needs to be, there's kind of a vicious cycle going on. He has poor posture, a compromised posture. It's affecting him mentally, which is affecting him emotionally. That then comes back and affects him physically, then mentally, emotionally, and it just keeps going around. So we have to figure out a way to interrupt this vicious cycle and change some of the stimulus, right? Now, you can do that from a mental or emotional standpoint, right? Maybe through something like psychology or something like that. It's definitely possible. But what I've found is the easiest thing for people to change before their mentality and emotional aspects of their life is physically, right? If someone sees results, then they're going to be encouraged and have more confidence in themselves from a mental and emotional standpoint. So what I would recommend to Alan or anybody else in a similar position is to, change up the stimulus, physically. So maybe, and for him, I think it would be, doing some postural corrective exercises to even out his body, because I guarantee you, he has some asymmetries left to right in his body, probably some issues with his dynamic tension, the balance of weight front to back as well. Start doing some exercise to correct that out, and maybe not necessarily it's going to be night and day difference, like a magic bullet, but as he starts to see, oh wow, I can move a little bit better, and I feel freer, and I have better range of motion, and I have more functionality, and I can do these things without pain. Now I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident in my ability, my body's ability to do things, which then leads to more mental and emotional confidence. Now you're starting a new cycle, but instead of it being a vicious cycle of tearing yourself down physically, mentally, emotionally, you're going to be building yourself up. First through physicality, changing your body, feeding your body new stimulus, which then will lead to, again, more confidence in yourself physically, emotionally, and then once again physically as well. Sorry if I said physically twice again. So hopefully this makes sense. I know sometimes it gets confusing, but hopefully that makes sense and to Alan, but as well as to you guys as well. And he even goes on to say here towards the end that he's developed some allergies, which he believes is due to some physical stress and also lack of sleep. So his symptoms, now are even interfering with his sleep, and that's a whole other thing. You do have to take in consideration not only just some postural exercise you do, but we sleep for 8 hours, or we should be, a day. Is he getting enough sleep? Is he sleeping in the correct position? All those things. Drinking enough water, eating the right diet, all those things. Just changing little bits of stimulus can start making, quite frankly, a dramatic impact on him physically, which will then lead to kind of the mental and emotional things that he's being challenged with, or that he's maybe even says like challenging himself to get better. So Alan, like I said, hopefully this helps you and helps anyone else out there who might be in a similar position. And maybe you're not, but maybe you know someone in your life, a friend, a family member, coworker, who's struggling with something similar that Alan has. And like I said, I'd say, almost about a decade ago. And if so, you could forward this video on to them, and I know they would appreciate it, and I would appreciate it as well. All right. So hopefully this has been helpful to you all. If you have any questions about what I was discussing here, or anything for that matter on the physical, mental, emotional aspects of chronic pain and how our posture and all those things kind of intercorrelate, if you will. I don't even know if that's a word, but we're going to go with it, intercorrelate. Let me know in the comment section below, and I would love to address them in a future video post. All right? Until then, take care and keep moving.